There comes a moment in life when you do everything right. You pray, you plan, you work hard, and still the doors keep closing. You try one path. It shuts. You knock on another opportunity, and it doesn't open. And slowly a dangerous thought creeps into your mind. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I've been rejected. Maybe God has forgotten me. But listen carefully, closed doors are not always rejection. Very often, they are redirection. If God truly wanted to stop you, He wouldn't need to close doors. He could stop your breath. The fact that you are still standing, still hoping, still searching means the story is not over. Sometimes God closes a door not to hurt you, but to protect you. He sees what you can't see. He knows what lies behind that door, the pain, the compromise, the delay, the damage, and in His mercy, He blocks the path. We often beg God for open doors, but we forget to thank Him for the ones He closed. Those closed doors saved you from relationships that would have drained you, opportunities that would have destroyed your peace, and paths that looked good on the outside but were empty on the inside. You call it a setback, but God calls it guidance. You see a wall, but God sees a turn. Think about how many times you were disappointed in the moment, only to look back later and say, if that had worked out, I wouldn't be where I am today. That is not coincidence. That is direction. God does not waste closed doors. Every no is shaping your future, yes. Every delay is aligning you with the right timing, the right people, and the right purpose. When nothing is working, God may be steering you away from what you want and toward what you need. And that's the hardest kind of trust, trusting God when His answer doesn't match your expectation. But faith grows strongest when it's tested, not when everything is easy. Stop seeing closed doors as punishment. They are often proof that God is involved. If the door didn't open, it's because your destiny doesn't live there. If it fell apart, it's because something better is ahead. God is not pushing you backward. He is repositioning you. So don't quit just because the door closed. Lift your head, take a breath, and trust that God is redirecting your steps, even when you don't understand the path yet. Because the door that truly belongs to you will open at the right time. And when it does, no one will be able to shut it. There are seasons in life when the silence feels heavier than the struggle itself. You pray, and there is no immediate answer. You believe, but nothing seems to change. You keep moving forward, yet it feels like you're standing still. And in that silence, the mind begins to ask painful questions. Is God listening? Is anything happening at all? But silence does not mean absence. Very often it means preparation. God does some of His greatest work quietly. Before anything changes on the outside, something must be built on the inside. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, but God is not rushed by our timelines. While you are waiting, He is working. While you think nothing is happening, everything is being arranged in ways you cannot see yet. Think about a seed in the ground. From the surface, it looks like nothing is happening. No movement, no progress, no signs of life. But underneath the soil, roots are forming, strength is developing, and life is preparing to break through. If the seed could speak, it might say, nothing is working. But the silence is not failure, it is growth. God often hides His work before He reveals it. He strengthens your character before He changes your circumstances. He builds endurance before He releases the breakthrough. That quiet season is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to mature you. Because if the blessing came too early, it might break you instead of build you. We often want God to move loudly, clearly, and immediately. But sometimes He whispers. Sometimes He waits. And sometimes He works in ways that only make sense later. The silence teaches you to trust Him not just for what He does, but for who He is. It trains your faith to stand without constant reassurance. Delay is not denial. Waiting is not wasted time. Every quiet moment is shaping you for what is next. God is aligning people, removing obstacles, and closing doors you don't need to walk through. He is doing behind the scenes work that you will only understand when you look back. When nothing is working and heaven feels quiet, don't walk away. Lean in. Keep praying even when the prayer feels heavy. Keep believing even when the signs are missing. The silence is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It is proof that He is preparing something greater than you imagined. And when the moment comes, when God finally moves in the open, you will realize that the silent season was necessary. Because what He was building in secret is about to speak for itself. There are moments when life doesn't just challenge you, it breaks you. The plans fall apart, the strength runs out, and the confidence you once had feels distant. You reach a point where you say, I can't do this anymore. And in that moment, it feels like the end. But what if that breaking point is not your destruction, but the place where something new is about to begin? God often allows us to reach the end of ourselves, so we can finally lean fully on Him. As long as we believe we are strong enough, capable enough, in control enough, we rely on ourselves. But when everything collapses, when the mask comes off and the pride breaks, God steps in. Your breakdown is not a mistake. It is often the setup for your breakthrough. Pain has a way of stripping us down to what really matters. It removes the false confidence, the distractions, the things we thought we needed but didn't. In the breaking, God reshapes you. He doesn't waste your tears, your sleepless nights, or your unanswered questions. Every moment of weakness is forming a deeper strength within you. Think about how pressure works. It can crush, or it can create. Coal under pressure becomes a diamond. Grapes under pressure become wine. You call it pressure, but God calls it process. The struggle is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to transform you. What feels unbearable today may be the very thing that gives you power tomorrow. Sometimes God allows everything to fall apart, so you stop holding on to what no longer serves your future. That job, that relationship, that dream, you may have been clinging to it, not realizing it was limiting you. When it breaks, it hurts. But in the breaking, your hands are finally free to receive something better. When nothing is working and you feel at your lowest, that is often the moment closest to change. Darkness always feels strongest right before the light appears. You may feel empty, but God sees space to fill, space to rebuild, space to bless in ways you couldn't have handled before. So don't define yourself by the moment you fell apart. Define yourself by the God who is rebuilding you. This is not the end of your story. This is the turning point. Hold on, even when you feel weak, because the same place that broke you is the place where God is about to raise you up stronger than before. There comes a time in life when you realize that understanding is no longer available. You have asked every question, explored every option, and tried to make sense of what is happening, but nothing adds up. The path is unclear. The future feels uncertain. And the answers you are searching for simply do not come. This is the moment where faith is no longer about logic, it becomes about trust. Faith is not believing because you see the whole picture. Faith is choosing to trust God when the picture is incomplete. It is easy to trust when things make sense, when the plan is clear, and when the results are predictable. But real faith begins when you say, I don't understand, but I still believe. That choice is powerful. We often want God to explain Himself. We want the reasons, the timeline, and the guarantees. But if God explained everything, faith would not be required. Trust grows when control is surrendered. When you stop demanding clarity and start leaning into confidence that God knows what He is doing, even when you don't. Think about how often you trusted something in your life without fully understanding it. You trusted the ground beneath your feet to hold you. You trusted a bridge to carry you across. You didn't stop to calculate every detail you stepped forward. Faith works the same way. You move, not because you know how everything will turn out, but because you trust the one who is leading you. When nothing is working, faith becomes a decision, not a feeling. Some days you won't feel strong. Some days you won't feel hopeful. But faith says, even here, I trust. Even in confusion, even in delay, even in pain. That kind of faith does not depend on circumstances. It depends on God's character. Understanding follows obedience, not the other way around. Many times, clarity comes after the step of faith, not before it. You walk first, and then the path becomes clear. You trust first, and then the purpose is revealed. Waiting to understand everything before you trust will keep you stuck where you are. Letting go the need to understand is not weakness, it is strength. It means you trust God more than your own perspective. It means you believe that even when the plan is hidden, the purpose is still good. And that trust changes everything. So when the answers don't come and the plan doesn't make sense, don't walk away. Lean in, take the step, and trust God without understanding, because faith doesn't need all the answers, only the courage to keep moving forward. There comes a point where you finally admit the truth. This is beyond you. You have tried to fix it, manage it, control it, and hold it together, but nothing is changing. The harder you try, the heavier it becomes. And that moment feels like failure. But it is not failure, it is surrender. And surrender is where transformation begins. We exhaust ourselves trying to repair what only God can restore. We replay conversations, analyze mistakes, and blame ourselves for not being enough. But some situations were never meant to be fixed by human strength. They were designed to lead you to dependence, not despair. What you cannot fix, God can transform. Transformation is deeper than repair. Repair puts things back the way they were. Transformation makes them new. God does not simply patch broken places. He reshapes hearts, renews minds, and changes direction. The thing you are trying to save may be the very thing God wants to change completely. Letting go is not giving up. It is handing over control to the one who sees the full picture. As long as you hold on tightly, there is no room for God to move. But when you open your hands, God begins His work. You may not see immediate results, but something powerful shifts the moment you stop carrying what was never yours to carry. There are battles you were never meant to fight alone. There are burdens you were never meant to hold. God's strength is revealed where human strength ends. When you reach the limit of your ability, you step into the space of God's ability. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Sometimes God allows the struggle to remain until you release control. Not because He is cruel, but because He is teaching you trust. When you stop saying, I've got this, and start saying, God, I need you, everything changes. The pressure lifts, the heart softens, and peace replaces panic. Transformation takes time. God works layer by layer, healing what you cannot see, removing what no longer belongs, and rebuilding what was broken. You may feel uncomfortable during the process, but growth often feels like stretching before it feels like freedom. So stop trying to fix what is breaking you. Release it, lay it down. Trust that God can do more with your surrender than you could ever do with your control, because when you finally let go, That is when God begins to transform everything. When nothing in your life seems to be working, it is easy to believe that nothing good is ahead. You look at your prayers and feel like they have gone unanswered. You look at your efforts and see no results. And slowly, hope begins to fade. But what if this season is not about losing everything, but about God building something greater than you ever imagined? God's work is not always visible in the moment. We measure progress by what we can see, but God measures progress by what He is preparing. While you are focused on what is not happening, God is focused on what is coming. The delay, you are frustrated by maybe the very time God is using to build a stronger foundation under your life. Sometimes God withholds what you want because He is preparing what you need. If He gave you the blessing too early, it might not last. If He opened the door before you were ready, you might not be able to walk through it with wisdom. So He waits not to punish you, but to protect you. Not to deny you, but to develop you. Think about construction. No one celebrates when the foundation is being dug. It's messy, loud, and uncomfortable. But without it, the building cannot stand. This season where nothing seems to work may be the foundation stage of something extraordinary. God is reinforcing your faith, strengthening your character, and aligning your life with His purpose. You may feel like you are behind, but God is never late. What feels like a delay to you is perfect timing to Him. He sees the full picture while you see only one moment. And when God finally reveals what He has been building, it will make sense why things had to happen the way they did. Don't let disappointment convince you that God is done with you. This is not the end, it is the preparation. The closed doors, the silence, the struggle, they were all shaping you for something greater. What is coming will require the strength, faith, and maturity that only this season could produce. So when nothing is working, don't lose heart. Stand firm. Trust deeply. And remember that God is not delaying your future. He is designing it. And when the time is right, what He has been building will be worth every moment of waiting.